Today we are going to be finding volume, and today we're going to be using formulas to do so. Let's take a look at our first problem. It says, a rectangular container has a length of 6 inches, a width of 4 inches, and is 5 inches tall. What is this container's volume? Okay, so what we're going to do is we are going to take a look at our container. And we're going to place our dimensions where they belong. So if you look at the bottom, this is kind of what's called the base. Okay, so this is the base of the container. And we need the base's length. Now it actually told us in the problem that the length is 6 inches. Now the width is also in the problem. And the width is how wide this base is. So it's 6 inches long and it's 4 inches wide. And then it says that the container is 5 inches tall. So if something is 5 inches tall, that is the same as its height. So the height is 5 inches. Now, the cool thing about this is if you know all 3 of these dimensions, you can very easily find the volume. So we are looking at a 3-dimensional object. So when you are doing something 3-dimensional, you are going to be multiplying 3 things together. So the formula is the volume equals length times width times height. So let's plug in what we know. We know our length is a 6. We know our width is a 4. And we know our height is a 5. Now I did not leave myself a lot of space here, but you can multiply these in any order. And I think the easiest way to do this one would be to go ahead and multiply the 4 times the 5, because that's going to give me a 20. And then I can actually multiply 20 times 6 in my head. Can you? So 4 times 5 is 20. And then we're going to simply bring down our 6. Now we have 6 times 20. Now, if you can't do it in your head, you simply go off to the side and you say, okay, 20 times 6. Okay? Now, when you multiply this out, for this type, if you have something that has a 0 at the end, you can just look at the basic fact, which is a 6 times 2. So that would be a 12. And then there's 1 0 in both of the numbers. There's only the 1 0. So that would be the 12 with 1 0. So that'd be 120. If you work it out, you would say, okay, 6 times 0 is 0. And 6 times 2 is 12. Notice we got 120 in both cases. So our volume equals 120. What is this? Inches? Inches cubed. Sorry, I'm having trouble with my inches. You can do the little 3 for these. Inches cubed. Okay? It's 3-dimensional, so it's a little cube. And remember, volume is how many of the little cubes it will hold. So remember, the little cubes are like dice. Okay, so how many of the little cubes could fit in that container? The answer is 120 of them. Okay? Now another way you can look at this is to say, okay, well, I'm going to take the area of my base and then multiply it by how tall it is. So you could go ahead and say, okay, well, length times width is 24, right? Because it's 6 times 4. And then multiply it by your height, which is 5. Now, all you would do is come up somewhere and multiply your area of your base times your height. 5 times 4 is 20. Carry the 2 right down the 0. And 5 times 2 is 10, plus 2 is 12. Notice we got the same answer, didn't we? Okay, so the answer, doing it the other way, whoops, is the same, 120 cubic inches. You could also write cubic inches. That would be fine. All right, let's take a look at our next problem. I wanted to do a cube here because they seem really tricky, but they're actually a little bit easier. So it says, a cube's side is 5 meters. What is the cube's volume? So you're thinking to yourself, they only told us one side. I need 3. Well, let's use our brains for a minute. Let's think about a cube. A cube is made up of faces that are all what shape? They're all squares, and they're all exactly the same square. So this square is the same as this square, is the same as the square in the back, the same as this one, the same as the top and the base. So if you know one side, guess what? You know all sides. So that's the fun thing about cubes. So it says its side is 5 meters. So guess what? My length is 5. Here's my width. That is also 5. And guess what my height is? You guessed it, 5. And we're talking about meters here. So let's fill in what we know. We have a length of 5. We have a width of 5. And we have a height of 5. So look what our problem is. 5 times 5 times 5, or 5 to the power of 3, 5 cubed. So let's do 5 times 5 first. What's 5 times 5? 25. And we still have this other times 5 to work with. Now, you may be able to do this in your head because there are 4 25s in 100. So you may already know what the answer is. If you do not know what the answer is, you simply work it out. So you go find a place where you have enough space and work out your 25 times your 5. So that's what we're doing right here. We have 5 times 5 first. We're going to carry the 2 right down the 5. Then we have 5 times 2, which is 10 plus 2. So that is 12. So look what we ended up with. We ended up with a volume of 125 cubic meters. So that means the cubes, okay? Now meters are actually pretty big. Another way you could have written this is meters, which is abbreviated with a lowercase m, and then the little 3, okay? 125 cubic meters. All right, have a good day.